Before I start, I need to show you a 3 or 4 minute clip from an old movie. So here we go.
Ventnor and now Dover's out of action. Our plots are drying up.
Then we're blind.
So now we've only got the Observer Corps. This is only the beginning. They won't stop now.
Ankles. Let's make it 100 plus.
Hello? Hello? Ankles, 100 plus.
Yes, Centre. Still going north. Height?
12,000.
Dispersal?
2 sections, scramble! Get moving! That's double!
Look out. Right.
Muck and filth everywhere, Mr. Warwick. It's like a pigsty.
The cooks don't come on till 6, huh?
Well, you've got some defaulters. Put them onto it.
Come on, you lot! Move! You'll be in there fast enough if it was real! At the double!
Oh, my God. Section Officer Harvey!
Sir.
Section Officer Harvey, I've noticed that some of your girls are now using the men's trenches during air raid practice. It's got to stop.
Sir.
And another thing, gas mask cases. They're for gas masks. They're not handbags. I do realize, of course, that female requirements differ somewhat from the male. Nevertheless, that's no excuse to...
God's teeth!
Take cover!
Hello. That piece of film was taken from the 1969 movie The Battle of Britain. At that point in the war, in 1940, there had been no invasion of England, there had been no air raids over England, no enemy bombs dropped on England. Citizens of England had heard the air raid sirens frequently, but every time they'd heard them, it had been for a practice drill. And you can see that in that clip of film, our radar stations on the south coast of England and on the Isle of Wight in the Channel had been completely knocked out by enemy dive bombers. As was said right at the beginning, all we had at that time was the Observer Corps, and we saw them on the cliffs of Dover, and they contacted the headquarters to say that an armada of enemy bombers was approaching across the channel. We saw the RAF fighters scrambled to intercept them, and we saw the airfield lookout notified, and he sounded the air raid siren. But no one on the airfield, none of the ground crew, were taking a blind bit of notice. Yeah, they were going through the motions because it was just another practice drill, wasn't it? You saw the woman officer packing her gas mask case with her makeups and other things, and slowly made her way out of the shack and stopped for a chat with a friend on the way. You saw the station commander moaning at the warrant officer about irrelevant things, really, in the grand scheme of things. You know, the fact that there was mess about, and that, you know, just inconsequential stuff. Picking holes in, yeah, whatever. And even to sort of say, to complain to the woman officer that some of her girls were using the men's trenches during air raid practice. Yeah. The thing is, though, that nobody took any notice because it had never happened before. There had never been any bombs drop on England. It had always been a practice. It was just routine. And I fear that that is the state of the church right now. In Matthew chapter 24, Yeshua, Jesus, outlines some of the persecutions that we're going to have to go through. And for those people who believe that we're going to be raptured out of here before it all turns messy, I would like to draw your attention to Matthew 24, where Yeshua clearly states that after the tribulation of those days, immediately after the tribulation of those days, we will be gathered to him from the four corners of the earth. Immediately after. So we are going to be here to see it. Sorry to disappoint you. But the thing is, we are not prepared for what's coming. Sure, there's been persecutions in the past, particularly in the Middle Ages with the Spanish Inquisition and the persecution and torture and murder of Protestants, you know, because they were deemed as heretics. And, yeah, believers have faced persecution in Soviet Russia and more recently in China and other places. But in the West, in Europe and the Western world, we haven't really seen anything at all. You know, Yeshua says in Matthew 24 that we're going to be handed over to the authorities to be killed for his name's sake. And in Luke chapter 21, he speaks of men's hearts failing them for fear through seeing what's coming upon the earth. Now, I don't think he was speaking figuratively necessarily. I think there was an element by which he was saying that men are going to be dropping dead from heart attack through sheer terror at what they see coming on the earth. And I would like to draw your attention now to Revelation chapter 9, where it talks about the opening of the pit, the abyss, the pit of hell. And it talks about swarms of demonic entities coming out onto the face of the earth and tormenting people. And it says that the king of the pit, the king of the abyss, is Abaddon, the destroyer. Apollyon, it says. Apollo. And it's very interesting that the CERN facility just outside of Geneva, which is the home of the biggest and most expensive machine ever made by man, the Large Hadron Collider, which CERN is using to unlock the mysteries of the universe. But in their own words, they're saying that they also wanting to open up a portal to other dimensions. And Sergio Bertolucci, who's the head of nuclear research and computing at CERN, has actually said that when they open the portal, something might come through it, or we might send something back through it. And outside the main CERN facility, for all the world to see, is a 2-meter high statue of Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. Are we believing what our Bibles say? Because if we go by what the Bible says, what Father himself says, what is coming upon the earth is going to be absolutely horrific. And I believe that there really will be people dropping dead from heart attack through sheer terror. The church is not prepared for what is coming, I believe, in the very near future. If believers were to open their eyes and just look around the world and see what's happening and ask the Father for wisdom in relating it to biblical prophecy, biblical end-time prophecy, not just the book of Revelation, but all the prophets, most of them are talking about the end times. And I'm talking about Daniel, Ezekiel, Hosea, Micah, Zephaniah. Sorry, not Zephaniah necessarily, but Zechariah was who I was thinking of. Zechariah, in fact, is more explicit than the book of Revelation. And we are seeing biblical end-time prophecy being fulfilled one after another, bang, 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 before our very eyes. So it really is looking like we are the generation who will see the return. But the church just isn't ready. Like England back in 1940, we have the Observer Corps who are shouting out the warnings. And here I'm going to do a shout out to people like L.A. Marzulli, Tom Horn, Steve Quayle, Dr. Michael Lake, and Aaron and Melissa Dykes of Truthstream Media channel on YouTube. You'll find all of them on YouTube. And they're all saying the same things. Get ready. Because you have no idea what's coming. What is coming is so unimaginably horrific. But I fear that a great many believers, Christians, their hearts are going to fail them. Please be ready, people. Okay, shalom.